Welcome to Lecture 6. In this lecture, we are going to review neighborship on some WAN connections. Therefore, after this lecture, I expect you to understand neighborship on frame relay networks, on MPLS VPNs, and on Metro Ethernet. Let's start our today's mission. EIGRP Neighborship on frame relay networks. Once upon a time, frame relay networks was the most famous WAN connections. However, by introducing newer technologies such as MPLS or Metro Ethernet, frame relay loses his market. But there are some organizations which still use frame relay. In a frame relay infrastructure, there is a frame relay cloud which is provided by service provider. Our routers are connected to this cloud via a connection which is called access link. This is an access link, this is an access link, and this is an access link. But how frame relay connect our routers? To connect our routers, frame relay provides a connection which is called PVC or permanent virtual circuit. This is a virtual circuit, not a physical circuit. So we have a PVC from R1 and R2 and a PVC from R1 and R3. You could have a PVC between R2 and R3 too, but for now I just want to have only these two PVCs. For EIGRP, neighborship formed only on direct PVCs. For example, in our scenario, neighborships will formed only between router 1 and router 2 and router 1 and router 3. Since there is no PVC between R2 and R3, there would no any neighborship between these two routers. But note that all routers can learn all routes in this network, but all routers would not become neighbors. I mean that frame relay provide a layer 2 connection which send and receive frame relay frames. Therefore, IP packets could be sent on these PVCs. So all the routers would learn all the networks which are advertised through EIGRP. Therefore, don't worry about your networks and learning the networks by router 2 and router 3. But remind that EIGRP neighborship will formed only on direct PVCs between two routers. EIGRP neighborship on MPLS VPNs. MPLS, which stands for Multi-Protocol Label Switching, is a Layer 3 service. In MPLS, service providers install the routers at their network edge and call their routers provider edge routers. And we as customers install our routers at our network edge and we call our routers customer edge routers. At the EIGRP perspective, neighborship will form between CEs and PEs. Therefore, we have a neighborship between this CE and this PE. We have a neighborship here and we have a neighborship here. Since MPLS is layer 3 aware, it could advertise EIGRP routes and our routers learn the related routes. But you should know that advertise in MPLS VPNs is done through a protocol which is called MPBGP, Multi-Protocol Border Gateway Protocol. This side we have BGP and this side we have EIGRP. How could it advertise? This advertisement could be done through route redistribution. So if you want to advertise EIGRP routes on MPBGP, you should enable route redistribution on PEs. So you have to ask your service provider to redistribute your routes on his network. The next and the last WAN solution which we want to discuss EIGRP neighborship on it is Metropolitan Ethernet. Metropolitan Ethernet, or Metro Ethernet for short, is a name. It represents a range of layer 2 WAN services in which customer routers connect to the WAN service through a form of Ethernet. There are many underlying technologies inside Metro Ethernet, but for our purposes, two of them are more important. VPLS, Virtual Private LAN Service, and VPWS, Virtual Private Wire Service. Metro Ethernet with these technologies could send unicast, multicast, or broadcast Ethernet frames for us. Therefore, in these scenarios, router 1 and router 2 could become neighbors, router 1 and router 3 could become neighbors, router 2 and router 3 could become neighbors, and if we have other router like router 4 could become neighbor with router 3, could become neighbor with router 2, and could become neighbor with router 1. There is no any limitation. All of them depends on your service. Now it's summary time. In this lecture, we review EIGRP neighborship on some WAN connections. And we saw that EIGRP neighborship on frame relay switches depends on PVCs. If there is a PVC between two routers, they could become neighbors. On MPLS VPNs, EIGRP neighborship formed between CE's customer edge and PE's provider edge routers. And finally, we saw that Metro Ethernets are very flexible and each two of our routers could become neighbors. I hope this lecture could help you to improve your knowledge and see you in the next lecture.